Hello, everyone. It's 5 p.m. and time for a cup of tea. Uh, I'll prepare the table and I will have some guests now for the chat. My first guest is Jenna. You know him. Hello, Jenna.
Hello, welcome to my afternoon tea.
Lovely to see you. And you brought some friends.
I
Hello,
did.
everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
So
So,
for
Jenna,
those,
you have to introduce your friends first.
sure, okay. So we have Cheryl from Florida with us
Hello.
away. So that's Cheryl Katz. So many people will know her in the vintage bear world. We have Beverly Rothwell
Hi.
from Beverly. Where are you from?
Clitheroe.
Clitheroe.
The river. Yeah, Clitheroe. The Clitheroe
I'm
kid.
Clitheroe with you, and I've forgotten. And we have Alex Candy.
Hi.
Where are you today, Alex? Are you in France or are you in England?
I'm in Whitstable, so England today.
England today. So we're all international here, and I'm in Southend-on-Sea. Hello. Hello, everyone, Facebook user.
Hello.
Hi.
So lovely to be with you. How was your day so far? How was the festival so far?
Well, you guys, what did you think of the festival so far?
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
I love
it's good to see. What did you buy?
I bought a Harlequin bear.
Okay.
I bought a mouse, a little stiff mouse from Leander.
Ah.
Wonderful.
Cheryl, did you buy anything?
Cheryl, got anything?
I can't hear you.
Cheryl, did you buy anything?
I am actually interested in an artist bear,
Ooh.
which is very not me, but I love it.
What about Alex?
Yeah. Yes, of course. I only bought one. I was very reserved, but I bought a Merry Thoughts M bear.
Ah.
Wow.
Well, that's very interesting, isn't it? Because we've all decided to buy different things. I've gone for an artist bear, and the reason why it spoke to me was that it was really practically a replica of the Harlequin bear. That was the Steiff Harlequin bear in the Paul Greenwood Christie's auction in 2010.
Oh, I've
Oh,
seen
wow.
the bear.
Yes, and that's
lovely.
what's interesting is that all my friends here are all very much connected with vintage Steiff, and I think 3 of us at least have seen all the things in the Greenwood Christie's auction and purchased things from there. So actually it's a great way of talking about it and actually how we became friends, because that auction was probably around 2010 and I made friends with Beverly around that time and Cheryl perhaps shortly after, and Alex around about 2012. Alex, probably.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the other thing that is wonderful that we all share with together is our love of bears, but of Steiff and vintage Steiff. But the social side of collecting has been absolutely wonderful. Having met Beverly in Gingen, she went on the trip with us to Gingen, the home of Steiff, and Alex has been there as well, although we weren't there at the same time. And the social side of it has been wonderful, so that we get to go to these bear shows, we get to go to auctions, and then afterwards we have a meal together or we spend time together. So it's been wonderful. I think the only person that I haven't been able to do that with actually is Cheryl, because we haven't actually met in person, but we've been friends online and over the telephone for years.
Yeah.
And she could just talk the off a donkey. So, you know, I was just thinking a Steiff donkey then at that particular moment. Do you remember the big Steiff donkey that was in the Paul Greenwood?
Yeah.
Because Beverly, you've got a picture with him.
I have a here. It's a staff.
Hey, there we are.
Oh.
So it's been wonderful how we've been friends over food, bears,
Yes.
and
Cake.
shows like Hugglets. Because Alex and I and Beverly have all been to Hugglets, and so has Cheryl.
I was in twice,
Yes.
When was that?
2000 and 2001. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I
It
started
is.
going to Hugglets 2006, and the only reason why I did was that lovely Gregory Gillenship
Mhm.
said to me about it. We had corresponded by email about music and his bears. And he told me about Hugglets, and I didn't know about Hugglets because the local teddy bear shop that I went to only stocked branded bears. So we're talking Silvaren and Steiff and some other brands as well, Clemens and Steiner at the time. And these were all factory made bears. And that's what I started to collect to begin with in about 2002. And Timmy Bear, as everybody knows, was probably my first Steiff bear that I bought. So, and he's been traveled all around the world and to Steiff a few times now. So
amazing.
And he had his nose restitched, didn't he?
He's had his nose restitched twice.
Yeah, I remember.
The first time Beverly was with me, and the lady who restitched his nose was rather rough with him. You know, poor Timmy Bear was being treated rather roughly with a needle that was shoved in his nose, and the thread pulled this way. And I was like, oh, you're killing him, and he's got no anesthetic, you know. And I wasn't sort of very happy with his nose because he looked a bit wonky, and I don't think he was happy either. So when we went back in 2015, which was a surprise to my friend Steiff Girl and some other friends that came, I met them at the airport. They'd spent some time with me a few days before, and I didn't tell them that I was going to go to Steiff with them. It was a surprise. So they thought that when I turned up at the airport that I had come to say and wave them off goodbye. So they were so surprised. I said, I'm coming too. 2015. And I had, and Dee saw Dietmar Simon, who's the head designer at Steiff. I talked to him about Timmy's nose, and he said, leave Timmy with him. And I left Timmy in Gingen, which was rather traumatic, actually, sort of leaving him there. And within a week, he was posted back to me. I was so surprised, and with a fantastic nose. So he's had a nose job. I don't believe in plastic surgery, but he's had a nose job.
What a story. So, Beverly, how did it start for you with the teddy bears?
Oh, I think I started with the little colour box bears, and then I found a magazine in a W.H. Smith with bears in, and I saw these people who collected bears, and I thought, oh, there's people like me. And then I saw there was bear shows, and I joined the Steiff Club, and I started collecting the Steiff replica bears. Like this is a replica of a Petsy bear.
Yeah.
Then as time's gone on, I've decided, well, I love the vintage bears, so I have actually managed to acquire an original Steiff Petsy bear. So this is an original Petsy bear, and this is a replica of a Petsy bear. I know. So yeah, I'm very fortunate that I can collect. But this bear actually came from Jena, didn't it, Jena?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, because Jena, you love all things mint, don't you, Jena? Mint.
I do. I think I saw him online.
Yeah. And then, yes, I think John Port had him, didn't he?
In fact, Cheryl saw him as well. And
Cheryl was with it.
We had a little laugh, really, because she could have had him if she wanted him. And before I had a sniff. But I saw him, and I messaged the dealer, and he came to live with me. But he actually came to live with me via Steiff Girl, because she brought him over for me for Hillary and Daniel's show in November a few years ago. So it must have been 2014.
I followed around, envious of him. I've always wanted a Petsy bear, always. So I just said, if ever you did ever part, please, could I buy this bear? So so I absolutely, she's adorable. I love her. She's my screensaver on my phone. And she's just, very special.
Petsy bears at the Paul Greenwood auction. They were beautiful. Yeah. One sold for 6,000 or 7,000 plus buyer's premium, very reasonable. And then another. Cheryl, what are you waving at me? Tell us.
Mimo, that's his name. I actually had a brass Petsy, and sadly, one of my big regrets is selling that bear. So, what are you eating?
Yeah, Jena already started eating. I didn't know we do that. So
Jena,
I have my carrot cake now.
Well, as you can see, the whole point of this was a chat over afternoon tea. So absolutely. I have here online, I tease everybody by posting all these lovely pictures of cake and food and desserts and naughty things like that. And I really fancied a Saka torte. And the other day, a Saka teddy came up, and we were for conversation. One of the past memories I said that I bought a Saka teddy from Saka torte. What Saka torte hotel? Hotel Saka. Saka torte hotel. Hotel Saka in Vienna, who made the famous Saka torte. And because of lockdown, we haven't been able to travel. And normally, every year I go to Vienna. And the topic of conversation over Facebook was this particular one. And someone says they preferred the Steiff one. So I didn't know about the Steiff one. And Beverly messaged me one on eBay.
Found it.
And so I bid and I won. And he's arrived. He's had a little bit of a decontamination, and his story is that he belonged to a gentleman who was a collector of teddy bears, who sadly passed, and his daughter was selling, and so she told me that he belonged to somebody who was a collector. So I'm really happy that he belonged to a collector who loved him. Indeed. And he's now got a Saka torte cake, because I ordered one from London to come. So they all came at the same time, the Saka teddy and the Saka torte.
Oh,
that's amazing.
And plus he's next to a Saka torte, a Saka teddy, Hotel Saka teddy there, and one here as well. So those are my thoughts on that. But I like collecting bears as souvenirs as well as branded bears and vintage and everything like that, because I know everybody's collections are different. And so I just wanted to share with you a few different bears. So this here, these two are actually presents from Alex. Alex, do you remember these two?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So I said that I wanted a Ritz bear a few years from Paris, and Alex managed to get hold of him because the rotters would not send to the UK. I mean, how hard is it to send to the UK a few years ago from Paris?
They weren't very keen to send it internally in France either.
So yes, well, Alex had to get it from me in Paris and bring it to me. And he also got me this Orient Express teddy. So that's two lovely ones from there, from Alex. And obviously we've talked about the Saka Hotel. And my recent trip to New York, I had a Plaza teddy bear. So there he is in his dressing gown. So those are sort of things. And this one, little memory. Oh, Alex, I got you one of these, didn't I?
Is that the Peninsula
Hotel bear?
Yes, I have got one of those. Yes.
Yes. I got you one from Hong Kong. This is my Ritz teddy bear from London. So I bought him when I went there for afternoon tea with Kimberly Sliney. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly.
So Kimberly's a friend of ours from Boston, and she came to visit me and some other friends in England. And see, isn't it wonderful that teddy bears just bring people together? It's just super. And then we went for afternoon tea at the Ritz, and he was a souvenir to come back from the Ritz. So there we are.
So lovely. Alex, how did it start for you?
Well, if you want to get the violins out, I'll tell you. When I was about 11, I wanted a Care Bear, and my mother didn't approve of boys having toys really like that, so she threw my bears away.
Oh!
So
it was so sad.
So when I was old, when I started to work, the first thing I bought was this little Steiff replica bear. He's my first bear, And that was sort of
Lovely.
the first. And then I started to collect replicas and reproductions. And then because someone who's here sort of slight influence, I started collecting some older bears as well.
Who could that possibly be?
I couldn't say.
No idea.
No
Yeah.
idea who that could be.
But yeah, but it is funny how people get people sort of not come together exactly, but lots of people are interested in toys, but maybe wouldn't admit to it.
Mhm.
My brother-in-law bought this, which is just a Build-A-Bear.
Mhm.
It's cute.
He bought it as a joke present for me, but he loves it, and he took it back with him. He came to visit, brought it to me, and took it home with him. I know I have him on loan, so he's only here for today, and he's got to go back. But you know, it's people do get
See.
very sort of linked through toys and things.
That is true. Did you bring your first bear as well, Cheryl?
I'm sorry?
Did you bring your first bear?
My second bear. My
No,
first
at
bear,
least. At
my
least.
very first bear was given to me when I was in the hospital when I was born. I actually still have him. But my
Wow.
second vintage, the first one I left in the other room, but Norbert's one of my favorite, this guy, my 8-inch.
Wow.
And I began collecting 8 inches because I fell in love with him. So now I have a lot of 8 inches.
8-inch. We
That's
have an
amazing.
8-inch bear alert, don't we, Cheryl? If we see an 8-inch
What?
bear, we're like, Cheryl, 8-inch.
I
alert."
love the 8-inch bears. Sorry,
Yeah,
I can't hear
yeah.
you, Beverly.
Oh, sorry. We all kind of know what we like, don't we? So we help each other, find bears and things. So that's good.
I love the 8-inch bears. Any 8-inch bear. Love to find them in different, like Farnell and Bing and all kinds, but mostly Steiff. Steiff.
Cheryl, you're the queen of the 8 inches.
Yes, yes.
So
But
many
Norbert
wonderful
started it
examples.
all. He's my little blank button 8-inch. He's so cute.
But I like how you say dive.
Steiff. Well, I always say
It's
Steiff.
fabulous. Yes, sure.
And Jenna's always like Steiff.
Stop.
So Beverly, you met
Yes.
with Jena on a tour to Gingen, or how was that?
Yeah.
How did you meet each other?
Oh, it was fabulous. I met him at the airport, at Heathrow Airport, with his mum. And we got on the plane together and we had a ball. We had such a good time, didn't we, Jenna?
We did.
we
Actually, I have to say that Beverly was extremely kind, really, and Diane. It was the first time I'd met
Yes,
them, and I'm absolutely hopeless when I travel because normally, porter. But we were. This trip was organised by the Bear Garden, and so they do these tours to Gingen, and you stay at a hotel nearby, and Beverly.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just for anyone, maybe there are people who don't know that Gingen, that is the hometown of Steiff. So
Yes,
and
yes.
once a year they have a big festival, or they used to have a big festival, bringing
Yeah.
collectors together.
And they used to have amazing auctions.
Yeah.
True.
we
Yeah,
went to
absolutely.
we went to an auction, didn't we, Jenna? We went to the auction.
We did. We were there.
With Rebecca. Rebecca was holding a black Steiff bear that was up for auction at the time.
Otello. Yeah. It was Ian Powell. Otello.
Yes, it was. Yeah. But it was exciting. It was the whole trip. It was wonderful. 2012 we went, so it's
That's
10
right.
years next year. We need to go back, don't we? We need to go. I'd love
We
to
do.
go again.
We do.
Yeah.
As I was saying, Beverly was terrific. She looked after my mum and looked after the luggage, everything. She even took the luggage to the room. Everything. She was amazing.
And there was a cake. Remember the big cake? They made a big teddy bear cake.
Yeah.
It was a special. And Amy, Jenna's mum, went and got cake for us all. It was so exciting. We had such a good time. Yeah.
And I bought a wonderful bear.
And we met a football team, didn't we? Your mum met all the footballers as well. It was good.
Yes, that was quite funny. But actually, that was a very special 2012 trip because we met. I met Steifgal for the first time.
Yes, I
There.
did as well.
And Elizabeth Shaw as well came from Switzerland.
Karen
And
was there.
yes, Karen Hubin, and also the late Kathy Steffes,
Yes.
who was a delightful lady. She was absolutely lovely. She had an incredible collection as well.
Yes,
and Beata, we met, and also Andreas.
So and you bought a beautiful bed.
I didn't buy him. It was a present from my mum. My mum bought Hugo for me. Yeah. And he was a wonderful blank button Steiff from 1905, light as a feather, apricot bear. And he was super. And you have a fantastic picture with him, Beverly, outside, and you can really see the apricot color. I mean, that's something that actually Cheryl taught me. This is a wonderful thing about having friends who collect and support each other. Cheryl has been a collector for so many years, and even part dealer as well, but she has an incredible collection and is so knowledgeable about Steiff and various different bears. And when we met online, she really sort of guided me and taught me many things about collecting and what to look for and everything. And one of the things was always take a bear out in the sunlight to see what it looks like, because you can see better the fur and the color, if it's a true color or not, or if it's dyed or things. So again, thank you, Cheryl, for being there for me for all these years.
Great fun.
So much knowledge that you've imparted to me and other collectors. I mean, Cheryl has an truly incredible collection that I'm so envious. Cheryl, show everybody Gunard.
Gunard.
Oh,
Gunard's from Christie's.
So everyone, have a look. A black Steiff Titanic bear from 1912.
All right, I'll move everybody around. Can you see him?
Yay! Hi,
So
Gunard.
lovely.
Hi, Gunard says hi.
Such a rare bear. So I asked Cheryl if she would share it with everybody today.
It's very hard to see, I think, black. So I'm wearing white, but then I'm hiding behind all the bears, so it doesn't matter. Can you see him okay? I can move him closer. So
right to the camera so everybody can see him. Hi.
Oh, yeah, that's much better.
Hi.
Wow.
Hi.
Now, I have a funny story to tell about a black bear. So at Christie's auction for the first time, I was pretty new to collecting vintage at that stage, and my this wonderful black bear came up at Christie's, which was a shorter mohair, but he was very cute, and I saw him in the preview, and I looked at him, and I had my picture with him, and I wanted to bid for him because he was a very good price. And my mom kept saying to me, don't buy it, because it was a mourning bear for the survivors, well, to mourn the loss of the Titanic's sinking and the people that passed. My mum thought it was a bit of a tragic bear, and she, and being a little bit, Chinese people can be a little bit superstitious, so she was worried about whether it would attract bad luck. And with its red felt behind the eye, with next to the sort of behind the eye, it looks a bit sort of demonic and scary at the same time. So she said, "No, don't buy it." But it was such a good price. I think it was about 12,000 at that time. So I stuck my hand up just as it put the camel down. I went, sold. I went, oh, I won. But it had somebody else. I went, oi. I was so disappointed that I had it. I thought I had it, but it didn't. But that's just how it goes. It was a learning experience to buy from an auction. So, so many of us here, and my friends here, the four of us have bought at auctions and sold at auctions as well. So again, that was an experience. Alex,
yes.
What's your favorite thing to collect?
I don't have set rules. I collect what I like, really. So I have, I've my favorites like him, which I bought in in Wiesbaden. So
Do you
I like
remember
him. And then I like sort of much more modern bears as well. You know, I buy the replicas, I buy the limited editions, but I buy what I like. So I don't try and buy the entire collection. And some years I don't buy any of the new versions. I prefer to try and buy the old, but I'm always on a slightly limited budget when it comes to buying bears. So I have to be careful about buying too many older bears.
So how do you prepare for auctions?
Do you mean buying or selling?
If you buy,
Buying.
I mean, especially when you have to respect your budget, I think it is so tempting. I mean, Jenna, we've been in a bidding fight once, and
Oh, yeah.
so it is really something.
Do you?
Uh,
Where is your teapot, Sebastian? You were supposed to bring the teapot.
Wait a second. This is what we've bidding
Oh, there's the teapot.
on. That was it, and it is mine.
I let you have it, but I took you up to a high price.
Oh,
I only have a teacup.
how
a teapot.
cheesy. That's the loser I let you win.
I did.
But back to Alex. How do you prepare when you want to buy on an auction?
I'm dreadful. Auctions are, people hate to be outbid, and the temptation is when you're getting someone's outbidding you, it's how dare you outbid me? I'm going to bid more, and suddenly the budget goes out the window, and you kind of forget that you're now overpaying rather than. And there are certain times where. Sometimes the auctions in places like Gingen, where you've got a whole room full of teddy bear collectors, all massively competing against each other. Maybe it's not the most economical place to buy, but it's certainly one of the funnest places to buy because you are surrounded by people who will just love what you bought. I do try and do some research beforehand, but I do sometimes get a bit carried away.
Me too.
I feel
Yeah, me
you.
too. I think we all do.
The one thing about about Hugglets this time, with it being online and you see the bear and the price, it's very much, there's not so much negotiation as there maybe would be in person. So in some ways that's quite good because you sort of look and think, well, actually, I like that, but it's too expensive, or I like that, but it's already sold, so it's gone. But it tends to make it slightly less. I must have it, which can happen sometimes.
Yeah, certainly. And Cheryl, there's one question, this is something I really like in the world of teddy bears, that people share their knowledge. Isn't there never the thought, if I share my knowledge, I'm helping a future competitor in bidding, in buying rare stuff? How do you feel that?
Who's that to?
You.
Me.
Yes.
I love talking about bears. I love helping people learn. I actually, I think it bothers me when people learn the wrong information. So I feel like I have to speak up and say when they don't know something or how they can, if they're making a mistake, because there's a lot of people that are selling and they don't know what they're selling. And there are a lot of people buying simply just to buy. And they should know what they're buying if they're very passionate about it. So a lot of friends come to me, or I'll just get a random message saying, can you help me identify, or what's wrong with it, or how do I know if there's dry rot or whatever. So I love it, actually. I welcome it too.
I understand you so well. My second passion is baking bread, and there are so many rumors and false information about sourdough, and I need to scream it out. Bev, who's there? I mean, I heard a cat all the time. I guess now I see it.
Well, this is Manuel, and Manuel.
Manuel.
When me and Jenna FaceTime, he seems to like your voice, doesn't he, Jenna?
Hi, Manny.
He was downstairs. He's come upstairs to see me, so sorry. But he'll cry if I don't pick him up. He'll just cry. So he's here. He's joining in. Rufus is here as well somewhere. He's around the back asleep.
Alex, do you remember the teddy baby that you showed?
Yes.
There's a story, but it's quite a nice story, really, because Alex and I, with Sue and two Elaines, and one of them is Elaine Chavasco, who is a dear friend. I want to mention her, that she passed before Christmas last year. And what a nice thing, as I say, about the social side of collecting is that you make friends and you can make travel plans to travel to different shows around the world. Yeah. And we decided on that occasion to go to Wiesbaden to Teddy Bear Welt show. And I was judging the artist bear competition there that year. I had been invited to. And a lot of the big German shows, they're much bigger than Hugglets. They're enormous. And Sebastian's Teddy Bear Total in Münster was, again, wonderful, huge, you know, and you get more Europeans and Russian artists and other dealers that come, that don't come to Hugglets. So there is more to see, I would say, in big German shows. So we decided to go to Wiesbaden on this occasion. And Alex asked me to have a look at a teddy baby at this stand. So I went with him to see it. And I was faced with this teddy baby, but right next to him was Dickie Bear. And I was immediately, it's a must-have. I have, you know. So we came away with a Dickie Bear, and Alex had his teddy baby. I think it's a 1930s teddy baby, isn't it?
He is, yes.
And something that was really quite fun as well was that Cheryl had just bought a Dickie Bear. And I hadn't been to New York before, so she showed me her Dickie Bear when she was in New York. And at the same time, she took him to the window with the phone, and I got to see New York, everything, you know, the sort of the skyline and the area. So it was really wonderful that I got to see Dickie Bear and New York at the same time. So that was a lovely moment.
I left him in the cabinet. I actually got very lucky. I found in a magazine a teddy bear. They just said teddy bear, and they wanted $250 for it, which is nothing. And it turned out to be a very small 10-inch Dickie Bear. And so without writing and wasting time, I picked up the telephone and I'm like, is the teddy bear still for sale? And they said, yes. I said, okay, mine, buying it. Didn't say a word, $250, and the Dickie Bear came. If you turn me off, I'll go get it. Because I don't want you to see me walking around to get it. But I do have him in the back there.
Can't believe it. Do you imagine the auction? 6,000 for a tiny little Dickie Bear.
Wow.
10 inches too. Very hard.
We need to see it. You know, my lovely wife is managing the background. Can you take Cheryl out for a second? We need to see that bear.
Okay.
Which bear?
Yeah, go and get Cheryl.
Just take her out for a second. And you know what's funny? I just realized what a year was 2012, because it was the year of my very first Teddy Bear Total. You know, I came into I came into the teddy bear world in 2010, and in 11 I was offered to buy Teddy Bear Total, and I saw the 2011 show, and it was just sad. It was just the leftovers of a once big show, and I said, okay, nothing to lose. Don't have any experience in organizing shows, but I can't do worse. So we took it over, and 2012 was our very first one. And Otello was our guest. Ian Powell presented this Otello bear that was then in the auction in summer. So 2012 seems to be a very berry year.
Well, it was obviously a very fruitful year. Is that him?
Wow.
Here's a little 10-inch guy. He's a little very worn, but he's very cute. And then here's a 16-inch. Let's see. Well, better sitting. Okay.
Yeah.
Too many bears here.
There's no such
$250
thing as too many
for a
bears.
dicky bear. How's that?
Oh,
That was
he's
my best
lovely.
buy.
Can't believe it.
Wow.
$250 for a dicky bear. Oh my gosh.
They had no idea. They
Amazing.
just thought it was a teddy bear. They didn't know age or anything. They just said, old teddy bear for sale. There you go. Mine.
They
Wow.
probably thought, wow, what a stupid lady paying
Yeah.
$250 for a bear.
Yes, Cheryl, you're a stupid lady. Oh, little did they know.
We have one question from the audience. Can you show it? Because you're the experts here, and someone needs advice. Okay, she's looking for it.
Well, I'm having cake.
You're
So
not
you-
allowed.
Yeah.
Cake.
Jenna's been
Obviously,
very good on
there are
it.
many. Here we are. How do you care for your bears and protect them from moths and carpet beetles? Beth, do you have any advice?
Well, my bears, I keep them in cabinets mainly. Most of them are in cabinets, especially the old ones. I have moth papers around. I did years and years ago. I did used to have them all on the carpets, and I did once have moths, and it was dreadful. I was horrified, and they can
What
actually
happened
really,
then?
really damage bears. Pardon?
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, I pulled all the carpet up.
No, what I mean is, what damage did they do to the bear?
Well, it was dreadful. I just went up the bear's arm like that, and all the mohair just came off. It was awful.
Oh.
It was really awful.
Oh.
I know. I mean, it wasn't an expensive bear, fortunately, and I think it was only the one bear, but it just scared me now. So now most of them are behind glass, and they get dust. They get brought out and brushed and dusted and cleaned and everything. So yeah, you just got to really look after them. But Cheryl's probably best
How
at things
often?
like that. Cheryl's the Wonder Woman at cleaning them, aren't you, Cheryl? She does amazing.
What?
The
You're
Wonder,
The
Woman.
Wonder Woman in cleaning.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love to clean bears.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite thing to do.
What a passion.
And
When
the
are you coming to
smell
visit?
is unbelievable. I love cleaning an old bear. After a really old one, that musty smell is like magic. Love it.
I think it's
When
actually
you
good.
have a-
Yours in cabinet.
All right.
Are yours all in cabinets, Cheryl? Or do you have some out of
I
cabinets?
can't hear Beverly, so somebody has to repeat it.
Are yours?
sorry.
Are
Are
yours
yours-
all in
Are yours in
cabinets?
cabinet?
Say it again, Jenna.
Are they all in cabinets? Your bears?
Okay. Sorry. If I had my headphone and I'm trying, but it won't work for some reason. Most of mine are in cabinets. 20 years later, you could feel that they're still as soft as they were from the moment I put them in them after a cleaning. But when a bear is out, and I do have some that are out, and not the really good ones, I try to keep my Stife in cabinets and all other, I guess, around the house. They do pick up dust because dust is just in the air, and it does dry them a little bit. My restorer used to tell me that the ones behind glass, you should open the cabinet doors to get air every once in a while, just to circulate the air. Or you have a cabinet that has a pinch of an opening, which mine does, so it doesn't need to be aired out. But yeah, that's how they get dry, sitting out.
Uh-huh.
I see. And how often do you clean them once you have your
I
collection?
don't. I clean them the moment they come into the house, and I never
Okay.
have to clean them again.
I see.
But when I was a dealer and I used to sell, and I did that for a number of years, I would clean everything before they left, whether they were clean or not, just to give them that fresh, but a very light clean, because I don't get them wet. It's the process. Cleaning, a lot of people know that we just don't want to get those bears wet. The water is the most dangerous thing for a bear, in my opinion.
Okay.
Don't put them in the washing machine. I tried it once.
Oh,
I had an old Molly I found for, at a flea market for nothing, and it was filthy and it was broken. And I thought, let's see what happens. So I put it in the washing machine. It did very well, but in the dryer, the head fell off. So that was it.
In the dryer.
It's worth giving it a shot.
Everybody's going to cringe at that one, I think.
Well, we've talked a lot about vintage, but I like vintage bears. I don't collect as many vintages as I used to, but I'm very fond of artist bears, really.
Well,
This is just
Jena
good because
won
we
my
just
first one.
yeah, we just have a question here. Do you enjoy collecting other plush animals or mainly just teddy bears?
I have a lot of animals. I love animals.
Well, I have animals.
I like the way
I
they
love
display with them.
The thing
I
about
like a
stife
monkey.
animals is,
Yes,
is
Alex?
often you can get stife animals at a lot less of a price than they're a lot cheaper than bears.
Okay.
You can buy sort of 1940s or 1950s really stife animals for very little money because they're not bears, and for some reason they don't attract the same value.
I see.
It's
Okay.
good to display them also. It's nice that like a bear has a friend, you know. So
Yeah.
little bear and his buddy. So dogs, cats, all kinds of animals. Monkeys.
Pigs. We collect pigs, don't we, Cheryl? This is
We
Albert.
have our monkeys. We love our Kramer monkeys.
Yeah,
Mom's
monkeys.
taking him out. Mine is in the back.
Oh, that
Rabbit.
reminds me, actually. Beverly, tell us about your Kramer collection, or things that those
yeah.
things you collect.
Well, I'll just put him. That's Albert, by the way, isn't he? I always wanted a Kramer bearkin, which is a little bear made for FAO Schwartz, and I saw one in a magazine, probably about 20 years ago, and it was sold at an auction, and it was dressed in like a little bearkin, little sporran, little kilt and everything. And I just wanted this bear so much, and I could never afford him. I used to see him in magazines and things, and then Cheryl found one for me, didn't you, Cheryl? At a doll fair.
Adam, I have to tell you, this bearkin, it's the biggest regret of my life. She had to go to a show to pick up this bearkin in a suitcase, which she's showing, that had everything all original. And I went and I'm like, I'm an idiot. I should just say it's not available and keep it. But, you know, I love my friends more than collecting, and I was very excited for Beverly. So I took all these photos for her. And to me, that's one of the most incredible set I've ever seen.
You dressed him for me, didn't you? And then took all these pictures. And he was leaving on a jet plane, and he came home from it. Oh God, it was so exciting. I couldn't believe it when I got him. But he's on my list. So if I pop my clogs, he's going back to live with Cheryl. So he's on the list. I have a list of all my bears, and I've got certain people who are going to get them. Jenna will get Apricotty back, won't you, Jenna?
Apricotty.
No, he's coming to me.
No, you're not getting him. He's mine.
This bear.
You can start fight about that right now. That brings bad luck.
Yeah, Beverly's still alive.
You like to dress the bears, Alex?
You'll be bumping me off.
Oh, there's Apricotty. I love him.
So let me tell you the story of Apricotty. Apricotty was my bear.
Mine.
No, it's mine. It was my bear. And it's a wonderful Steiff from 1904. So it followed the Rod bear. So excuse me, let me just wipe my hand on here. So here's a Rod bear. And why it's called a rod bear is because the joints are not card disc joints, but they are rods that go across the arms, the hips, and the head that joins. So this was the very first bear that Steiff did in 1904. Now, Beverly's Apricotty follows on from the rod bear and is a Steiff blank button bear from 1904, but it's a teeny tiny blank button, very small blank button. So that's how we know that's a Beverly bear. Also, Apricotty has got 5 claws on paws and feet. and that
Okay.
all original in Apricotty there. And in fact, when it
Wow.
came to me,
Beautiful.
there was a little bit of a hole at the back that some stuffing was coming out, and so she went to a restorer, and it was actually the voice box inside the bear that was pushing out a bit, and that's what was causing the stuffing. So, Beverly, can you feel whether Apricotty's got the voice box inside or not in her tummy?
No.
Right. I have a feeling that it may have been. It should have been kept inside. It should have been kept inside. Now, what's interesting about Apricotty is that you can see very long arms,
Very long.
a beautiful head, a very big head, and very big ears, rounded head. That's right, big round head. And one thing I've always taught Beverly is whenever you pick up an old bear, do not pick it up from its arms. Always hold it by its waist, the body, because
the ears.
Up by the arm, you have to respect that it's an old bear. I mean, this is 1904, and old material is old, and it can actually rip if you're not careful. So as collectors of vintage items, we have a responsibility to look after our items, and that also means just basics of just picking up the bear. You have to be very careful. You've got to respect that it's vintage fabric, it's antique, it's old, and depending on the conditions that you keep the bear in, the fabric can dry out or it can rot if it's too damp. And once you rip the arm, the repair for the arm is just a nightmare, and it won't ever be the same again because you've ripped it. So always pick up an old bear by the waist and down. That's one thing I must tell you all, because it's so important. Accidents happen so easily with vintage items. You have to respect it, that it's an old item.
Absolutely. And I heard we have another question. Or did I misunderstand that? Yeah, sorry, someone wanted to say something.
No, you said there was a question?
Yeah, but she's looking for that. There's a lot of commands there. That's why it takes a moment to
Pick them
find
up by the ears either. I see so many people grab the bear by the ear, and that's the worst you could do. Are y'all fans of dressing up bears? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the question. Are you all fans of dressing up bears?
Yes.
Yes.
I love dressing bears up. Yeah.
Well, Beverly likes to make her bears all girls, and
yeah. I love to find them at old, in charity shops or vintage shops, or like Petsy's got a beautiful like a collar. This collar I found, gorgeous. But yeah, I love dressing bears up. Yeah, it's good fun. And Build-A-Bear do brilliant outfits, don't they, for like a 14-inch bear?
Yep.
Build-A-Bear, and then Disney have just done some mini moves, they call them. They have little outfits for little miniature bears. I've just bought some of those. So yeah, you can pick outfits up and dress them, and it protects them as well, doesn't it, if they've got clothes on?
Yeah. And sometimes if you buy sort of 0 to 3 months and children's clothes, they will fit some of the smaller bears, and it actually works out nearly better than Build-A-Bear. I didn't say that out loud, but it's because the quality is better.
Yes.
I have a tough decision to make, because I need to keep the time in mind. The festival is closing officially in 11 minutes, so we would need to come to an end. But on the other hand, I know that Jena tried to move the topic a bit to artist bears, and this is of course a very interesting topic. So maybe we should just ignore the time and keep it going a little moment.
Well, I'm happy to carry on.
I guess no one will be unhappy.
Okay. Well, let me just tell my experience of artist bears. But before I do, I think one important thing about
don't listen to them.
They want to join the party. They want cake too.
Someone's going to lock them up. I knew this was going to happen.
I'm just waiting for you to go, shut up.
I'm going to behave myself.
So before we go on to artist bears, I just wanted to say dressing bears, fabulous, lovely idea, very creative for people to do, and quite fun because you can go to Hugglets and different bear shows in Germany, Teddy Bear Total and Teddy Bear Belt and wherever. And they often have clothes to buy for bears, and there's so many different styles of clothing as well, which can be great fun for you to sort of experiment with artistically, and also to set a scene. You could always dress a scene up so that you've got different bears doing different things in a Christmas scene or whatever Easter activity. But when you do dress them, make sure nothing is too tight on the bears, because they've got to breathe. I don't mean physically breathe. The material's got to breathe, and too tight, you know, can leave marks and can also damage the material and the fur.
Break.
So just,
Yes.
yeah, be really careful when you dress your bears. So artist bears, well, I think you can really categorize artist bears into various different categories. And for me, they would be nature bears, they would be miniatures, and they would be teddy bears. So nature bears would be bears which are like polar bears, realistic style, that can be, for me personally, I love bears that can be manipulated and moved and posed. So for me, let me just show you a few examples. So this one is Porter by Kelly Dean. He came to live with me in 2012. See, 2012. In fact, 2012 was the very first time I started to collect polar bears. So 2012 was a fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's from Kelly Dean and Company. And he was my very first one. Funnily enough, how I fell in love with Porter was that Kelly had posed him with lots of desserts on the table. And so, well, that was it for me. As soon as I saw pie and I saw desserts, that was it. I wanted him. So they have an armature inside, which means it's like a skeleton. And it means that that's how you compose them and do different poses. And of course, this is a more stiff armature, but there are some which will have I think they call it lock lines, and they're more posable. So, for example, this one here, very posable. You can sort of double them over, have them in all different ways, and pose. As you can see, the legs are very posable. You can turn them, and that's the lock line. That's like what dolls have inside, I think. And so they're very. You can be very creative with these sorts of nature bears, or they just sit, or they can just be sitting, like this one. This is Aki.
I love him.
Aki likes cake too.
It's cute.
Yeah. His favorite restaurant is the Ivy in Kensington. He's regular.
Oh,
So
I love that restaurant. Always a bit loud, but
I know it's
so
always after
delicious.
Hugglets I go.
Ah,
So yes, so you've got those, or you've got miniatures, or you have teddy bears. Now this is by Jerome Mayo. I think I've said his name correctly. Mayo, I think it is. And this is Valentine. Typical, a lovely name for a bear, Valentine. And he dresses.
this is a lovely name in general, I would say.
Oh, I know, it's a
Not just
lovely name, isn't it? Just,
not just because my son. No. Continue.
but Valentine is cinnamon. Cinnamon's my favorite, one of my favorite colors of Steiff bears. But he's a cinny, but he's lovely. But he's not. He's an artist bear, an artist teddy bear. I won't talk about miniatures today because on most presentations I always talk about miniatures. So today there aren't any miniatures around. I do like to collect miniature teddy bears. Exquisite work from miniatures because they're so small. The detail needed and the precision and everything is very, very hard to do miniatures well. So it really is an art because having to make it on.
We lost Jenna for the moment. Alex, do you also collect artist bears?
I've only got a couple. I have a couple of bears from Gregory Gilchrist, and that's it. I would like to collect artist bears. It just never sort of happened yet.
There's still time.
Yeah, and there's always room for more bears. So it will happen. Yep.
I found.
And what about you, Cheryl? Yeah.
I fell in love with one at a show. It's kind of tough that Jenna's not here because there were two that I really liked at a show at Hugglets, and I bought this one, and then for Christmas, Jenna surprised me and bought the other one. So those are my two little artist bears from, let's say, Laura. Hold on, Lori Lou Bears. And they're very pretty. Don't mind the dogs. Again, yes.
No, it's fine. What about you, Beverly?
Well, yeah, I collect. This is a little Beth Bears, Elizabeth Leggett. She makes exquisite miniature bears, and this is a miniature, a little bearkin. So this is Everett Bearkin, and this is like his little mini me. So yeah, he's fabulous. And I also used to collect little Deb Cannon bears, and this is another miniature of bearkin.
Wow.
So as you can see, I do love my bearkin. So he's got little mini bearkins. But yes, I do. I love artist bears. Yeah, any bears really, anything. You know,
Lovely.
I mean, I bought this the other day from my charity shop. This little Paddington bear, and he races round on his bike. He's hilarious. He was £5 at my charity shops. I bought him on Friday because so yeah, you know, I'm just bear mad. Anything bears, really. But yeah, he's so funny.
Jenna,
So we have one more question I just heard. How do you determine the worth of the bear?
Are we talking vintage, I assume, or are we talking modern bears?
It's not specified, but I would assume it's more about the vintage ones.
Well, you'll be surprised because you can get artist bears on the secondary market. I've bought artist bears on the secondary market, and I've also bought and sold branded bears on the secondary market. Here's an example of a secondary market bear, but modern branded bear Steiff. And I sold at auction. Artist bears and branded bears. I think at those times, in general, though, they have a low secondary market value for things such as branded bears. Artist bears depend on the artist and how much someone's prepared to pay for it is the right answer, really. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the answer is how much is someone prepared to pay for it. And yes, you can buy them from auction houses like eBay or Vectis, and it just depends on, as I say, the person who wants to buy it. You can put in a low reserve. I mean, for example, at my auction, all the artist bears and the branded bears sold 2, 3, 4, 5 times their estimates. So it just depends on what someone is prepared to buy for something. I have bought very sought after polar bears on the secondary market, and I've paid a premium. And sometimes we think about it and you think, well, someone says, oh, you're crazy to pay that. And then you would say, well, you have to factor in how easy is it to buy it. Yeah. Some artists are exclusive to a show. Some artists will do only a number of bears and that's it. And if you really want it, either you go to that show, and if it's in another country, you've got to factor in travel, hotel, and the costs of the whole trip on top of what you're going to buy. So you add it up and you think, oh, actually, and how even when you're there at the show, can you actually get it or not? You know, some bears are some artists are so sought after that the show is open, but already you can't buy anything because it's already reserved or bought by somebody else who's another artist, because they're so sought after. So the public themselves are not able to get the bear necessarily. So you have to think, is that how are you going to do it? If it's secondary market, sometimes you pay a premium for it, but think about why. You know, for me, if you really want to do it, then you have to just bite the bullet and pay, and that's it.
So I see you all agree. I can see that.
Well, I think it's really depends on what you want to spend. And
Yeah.
the price for a vintage has changed tremendously in the last 25 years that I've been watching. I mean, there was a time you could get a blank button 12-inch, very early 1905 for, maybe $800. And then they went up to 2 to 3 or 4,000. And then they went back down to 12 to 15. So it really, and I'm speaking, of course, US dollars. So I think it depends on the time and what somebody wants to pay, and also how few are out there. Right now, there's nothing for sale really. But when I began, there was so many to choose from, and the quality was mint. There was so much found in attics that there was just so many to choose from. Today, we don't have that, and that's why prices change.
Okay, I see.
Also, if you're looking for, if you're looking at branded bears, if you're looking at sort of Steiff limited editions, if you've missed a collection, if you've missed something which came out and it's been on sale for a few years, do look at places like eBay, because quite often you will find them for maybe half of what they were new, because they don't seem to keep that. At the moment, they're not really keeping their value. I'm talking about the reproductions and the replicas. So sometimes eBay is good for things like that. And also, yeah, or if you look at 1950, if you can't afford 1910s, 1920s, if you look at 1950s and 1960s, quite often they're 70 years ago. You can find that, and they're not expensive. They're relatively inexpensive.
Although, follow-up question.
I bought a case from Bear Pile. They are beautiful bears.
No, that's not the follow-up question. Here, Beverly, besides, do you look at those, Bear Pile or Tedsby?
Yes, I have. I have looked at them, and I have bought from Bear Pile, and I think I've bought from Tedsby as well recently. So I have used. I have used them. I'm not sure exactly where it's based, but I have bought from them. Yes. But ask fellow collectors. Sometimes some people are willing to part with things, and you can negotiate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the fact is, my friends here have all bought from each other. I've bought from Cheryl. Beverly's bought from me. Alex has bought from me. And I let you have the teapot, Sebastian. So.
Okay, I understand that's what you want to believe. That's okay. Guys, I have to keep the time in mind. So we talked for an hour. Can you believe that? It was so
We could
fast.
talk for 3 more.
Yes, certainly. I thank you so much for taking the time. It was lovely. It was interesting. It was really nice having you here. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
And see you all soon again.
Thank you.
Nice
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.